Hello, infinite beings. How are you today?
Welcome back.
Welcome back. So Mandy just said I'll have to do the introductions because she doesn't even know what we're talking about.
Totally in the boat.
So we're really testing Mandy's infiniteness today to be on the spot because she actually doesn't know the topic we're even talking about. So I didn't feel to tell her before we got on. So this really is live and raw and real.
Threw me under the bus.
Yeah, throw you under the bus. Well, which is quite funny because the topic today I want to talk about is showing up authentically. So, which is quite funny. So I woke up this morning and I was just sitting on the lounge doing some work before we chatted. And I was like, oh, I actually feel really tired today. I don't know why. But yeah, I was sort of like, I actually felt like doing the live and having this chat and stuff like that. But there was a part of me that was like, oh, I need to get my energy up type thing. You know, I'm doing a live and I have to, you know, if I'm not hyped up and not energetic type thing, then the audience will be feeling that. And, you know, that would be a bit of a boring thing to watch. And all this stuff was coming up. And I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And this is like showing up authentically. Do I show up feeling a bit slumpish and tired? Or do I pump myself up, which is what most people probably do. And just jumping jacks and, you know, there's all these things to pump yourself up. Or do you just show up how you're actually feeling and just talk about that? So that's like what I decided to do, was that, just showing up as you're feeling and trusting that whatever you're feeling and whatever discussion unfolds right now is what other people will need to hear.
Yes.
So here I am, showing up authentically, feeling a wee bit tired. We're about to finish our house sit today. And there's that whole shifting thing. Like tomorrow we move to Malaysia. So I guess, all the energy starts to shift because you're not just moving houses, but we're shifting countries as well. So not that it really worries me at all, but I guess there's just that your body's preparing for that and subconsciously you're preparing for that move and things to be different. I've not been to Malaysia before, so this will be a brand new experience. So there's just lots happening over the next 24 hours with the homeowner coming home and the changeover there and then getting to the airport tomorrow morning and having dinner and stuff with them tonight and then airport tomorrow and then get to Malaysia, going to hotel, which is a different experience for us. And just settling in there type thing. So it's sort of, I don't know, maybe it's that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so it's sort of interesting. It's like, do you show up authentically all the time? Or do you put the mask on and hype yourself up to make yourself feel a bit better? You show up. Did I feel this morning that showing up tired and how I actually am feeling wasn't enough? That's pretty much how it felt.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be enough.
Yes. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah. I think there is that sense that you want to, I guess there's part of you that kind of is around the how's it going to be perceived outside of you. So
that's all it was about, really. Yeah. Like I'm okay being tired, just not really worrying me.
Yeah, it's more about what the outside world's going to see. Yeah. So I was getting told that it's not okay to show up as you truly are, sort of thing, where everyone's trying to fit themselves into a mold that we think we've got to be. So a lot of
that sort of brings up the whole performance thing, doesn't it? Like that's really what it feels like. And I feel like I've done that a lot throughout my life. Everybody probably has. But it feels like a performance. And there's almost a part of me that's getting to that stage where I just can't be bothered anymore. Like maybe it's my age. You know, I turned 50 and I was like, I can't be bothered with this shit anymore. So I don't know. Maybe it's that.
You're giving a shit then. Okay.
Yeah. But I think too, there's a part that you get to in consciousness that goes, I just don't have the energy for it anymore. Like the whole performance thing.
Well, I think it's more you actually see the illusion of it all. That's what it is. I think is as you come to see that it's actually not, like the more that you show up feeling like you have to be that way, then the more the outside world kind of expects that of you, kind of thing, almost like if you buy into that game of it. So it's like if you just keep showing up raw and authentic as you, and then that's it. Like that's all we're required to do, and then the people that will resonate with this will resonate with it regardless. Like and not that that's necessarily the goal either. Like it isn't about so then other people will like you because you're authentic either. It's just about you having that expression of authentic.
Yeah.
Not feeling like you have to filter anything or
Yeah, and I guess it's the expectations you put on yourself as well as like as you say, your perception of what other people are going to think. So then you place the expectations on yourself to be something other than what you're actually feeling in that moment.
Yes.
And I guess that sort of comes into doing things that perhaps have been arranged in the past, sort of thing that you're not necessarily feeling right now. And it's like, okay, is this still true for me? And if it's not, how do I approach that sort of thing? Like, do I still perform and show up? Or do I sort of go, not really feeling it anymore, and then go through the consequences of whatever that might be, particularly if other people are involved.
Well, that's it, isn't it? A lot of time we stay in something because we anticipate what might happen, how it might impact other people and their plans and what they're expecting. And when sometimes it's almost like the thing that you're feeling sometimes is sort of what the other person is feeling a lot of the time as well, but nobody's really kind of following on that feeling sometimes. Like, so sometimes you find at the end of an experience is like, oh, that person would have actually appreciated shifting that meeting too, but like we both kind of just kept the commitment because of the other person feeling like, oh, we don't let the other person down, or we don't want to
we seem a bit flaky sometimes.
Or we don't want to see flaky, we don't want to, like, we have all those stories and they're probably thinking the same thing, but then sometimes it's just like, well, it takes that one person to kind of speak up and kind of follow through on what's actually true for you, and then the other person's like, I've done that before too, where I've followed through something. And part of me is kind of going, oh, I really don't feel like jumping on that Zoom chat today, like with that person or that group of people. But I'm like, oh, no, I'll do it because, like, it's going to be, I can't fit in tomorrow. So, like, I'll do it today. Like, the timing's not great. But, so you kind of took yourself into it. And then usually without a doubt, like, that person has to cancel at the last minute for some reason.
Right?
And you notice that sense of relief. And so you kind of go, okay, that was a true feeling for me, and I didn't follow through on it, but life kind of did sort of show that experience to show that. So it's like, oh, okay. So I kind of learned now to follow through on those feelings. That there's always you don't know the reason why. Sometimes you have to cancel something. It might just just feel it and you don't quite know it, but the timing of it is perfect. So if you follow through on that, and that's I guess what your intuition is. You don't have to know the outcome of why you're canceling something or why you're changing something or changing your plans up or stop doing something that you really think you should be doing, or like what you said, like you feel like doing even a path in life that you're going on, and then suddenly you just go, doesn't feel true anymore, like which I think we both did with following some of the different teachers that we had. It's like you just walk away overnight because it's just like it's not resonating anymore, like for some reason, and just let it all go, like even though you invested a whole bunch of time and money into something. So I guess that's the other one too, is walking away from a project. And it's come up quite a few times in different conversations with different people over the last 24 hours, 48 hours for me, actually. I was talking to a friend, Claire, and she had built a reasonable sized business around relationships. And she had like a decent sized email list and tons of hours and hours and hours of videos, hundreds of hours. And she pretty much just pressed delete on the whole lot in overnight. Said it's just not true for me anymore. Like that message, I've moved on. I mean, she probably could have kept the videos up, I suppose, to help other people. Like, I don't know. It just felt true for her to anymore.
Well, she actually did say that. She said, well, that wasn't true. She said that it felt she had to destroy everything. The message she was getting was burn everything to the ground.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, that virtually in the cyberspace world means delete it all. So she did. She just deleted the whole lot and pretty much started from scratch again with her new messaging and what she was doing.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, it's a big move, isn't it? Like to not be attached to what you've already created before. And I was having another conversation with another friend who is going through the same thing, like thinking about, will I continue with this project or not? But so many hours have gone into this project, and it's like, should I keep going with it or not?
Yeah.
You can't be attached to that. Like, it's in the infinite world type thing, it's, yeah, you've put a lot of hours into it and stuff. That's the human self saying that.
Yeah.
Of, oh my God, like, it's all my work and stuff. It's like, well, it's not actually your work at the end of the day. It's the infinite's work.
Identity gets tied up in it. Yeah.
Yeah, and what hours have you put into it? You've had an experience of building that product or that project or that group or whatever you've done. Like,
Yeah.
But it just means you're going to have a different experience. You'll let that one go and do something else.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, I mean, it's created from nothing anyway. So it's like, well,
yeah,
do it again. Like, that's what creation is.
Yeah.
It's like it's made out of nothing. Like, it's bringing something into form that's just a feeling in the beginning. Like, that's how everything starts. So, yeah.
And I guess creation always means destruction as well. Like, you can't have creation without destruction.
Yeah, well, that's true.
We see that in nature all the time, you know, bushfires and hurricanes and all sorts of things that go on. Like, they're there for a reason, because things sprout from the mass destruction that's going on these things. So why should the human game be any different?
Yes.
Sometimes we do have to destroy everything to then create a new version of whatever it is we want to put out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's that thing around that, what you're saying about showing up authentically too. It's like, I think we sometimes don't show up authentically because we think our experience needs to be something like other than what it is right now. So like we make it something that, oh, we're tired and we don't have energy, or I don't know, I'm angry, so I don't really feel like I can jump on something like this and kind of just speak and be kind of, come across as like I've got it all together type of thing or whatever. So
we've got it all together.
Clearly. But I think there is that sense of like, you wouldn't, well, it's probably like a couple of things, like you wouldn't be having the experience you're having if you weren't meant to be having it. Like, it's kind of like, that's it. Like, it's as simple as that. It's just like whatever's showing up is actually what's meant to be happening. It's only a resistance of it that kind of keeps it persisting all the time. So saying what you resist persists, and it's so true. It's like, it's just the more you keep pushing that feeling away, or that prompt to show up like this, but you don't keep doing it. It's just like, well, you're going to keep getting the outside circumstances to keep reflecting that back to you as well. So yes, yeah. It's just like, that's all we're actually here to do. Is like, I was listening to something by Neil Donald Walsh, who wrote Conversations with God, the few book series in that, and a really good interview that he was just doing, and someone was saying about the three main principles that came out of that body of work, if you like, that he kind of channeled through. And maybe tomorrow we could kind of jump this into it more, because it's probably a bigger topic kind of thing, but it was around be the source. So like knowing yourself as the source of everything. Like, that's what we've been saying, like this infiniteness that comes through. It's like you are the source of it, and everything outside of you is a channel for that to come to you. I'm trying to think if I can remember the three. The one was like, you're not alone. So we haven't been put into this experience without any kind of guidance. Like, we've always been guided, which we spoke about the other day. Like, your body's guiding you, your intuition guides you.
There's signs everywhere.
Outside circumstances, there's things there all the time when you pay attention. Of like, oh, this feels true. There's a sign. Okay, well, that's kind of like a confirmation almost. Like, not that you have to have an outside validation, but it's sometimes it's kind of nice.
It can be fun.
Makes you laugh. Yeah, like when you kind of get that outside validation sometimes of like what you're actually.
You'll see someone walk past with a T-shirt or something that has a message just for you. It's that's cool.
Trucks pull up beside me with like the name of a company. It was just like the exact thing that I needed to kind of get in that moment, like a question you're asking yourself, or somebody just says some flippant comment to you when you're in the shop, and you're just kind of like, oh yeah, like kind of
exact message I needed. Or you overhear a conversation, even like the only words you hear are those things.
Yeah. And I think the other point was around everything is perfect as it is. Like, your growth is done. Like, there is your growth journey is done. Like the minute we showed up in this world, it was done. Like there was nothing else to do. We were already perfect. You know, then the ego, we have that feeling of separation that comes in, and the ego likes to tell us that things aren't perfect and we need to fix, change, improve, you know, our circumstances and be a certain way. But it's like that sense, like we've touched on before, like when you look at a baby, when they're born, like there is that sense of perfection, like nothing needs to change in that moment. The baby has everything it needs. It doesn't need to be any different. It just shows up and expresses who it is. Like that's it. And then somehow we learn that we've got to be different, you know, or we've got to show up differently, or we've got to make things happen. Like they don't just come to us. Like we have to, So I think the more that we resist, there's that thing around resisting what's actually in the moment. It's actually perfect. So when you start stepping back and kind of going, you know, if you're asked to ask yourself that question rather than kind of going, what's wrong with this situation? It's like, what's right about this situation? And not coming from that ego, right or wrong. It's kind of more like, how is this happening for me? There's that question.
It's not happening.
It's not happening to me. This is happening for me. So how is this happening for me? Like if everything is perfect and I'm always being guided and I'm never alone, how is this actually happening for me? So if it was like he gave an example of like someone that might be, say, in an abusive relationship, or it could be like a situation at work where you might be being bullied by your boss or something like that. And you sort of think, oh, well, how is this a good situation, you know, like that? And so it feels like your sense of, you know, personal safety is being threatened. And so that's not necessarily a good space. Wasn't necessarily saying you don't remove yourself from that space, but it's more about the what's right from this situation. What's right in this scenario that's happening right now? What am I being invited to express? So it was kind of more like that feeling of, you know, if you can't know the dark without the light, you can't know cold without hot. So it's this idea of contrast. So like if you didn't have this experience of outside of you of feeling what it was like to be bullied or whatever like that, then how do you not have that feeling of that expression that's got to come through you to move out of that moment, to empower yourself to have that experience of seeing your own light and knowing yourself as the source of your own power. So it is that sense of claiming back your power from that scenario that's happening. So that emotion that's going through your body, it's like claiming that power back out of it, like you've given your power away to something outside of you. So if you weren't in that scenario, you wouldn't be actually getting that opportunity to kind of take your power back from it. So if you were to see everything as a chance to take back your power, that's all it is. At the end of the day, it's like you're giving contrast so that you can kind of see where you still are giving your power away outside of you. So it's more like a gratitude then of like, wow, like thanks for showing me that. Like now I can choose to move on from this situation if that's what's presenting, like in a more empowered way, get your power back from that sense of like, oh, I'm you know, say an abusive relationship, like I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not, you know, I don't love myself, whatever those feelings are that are coming up. Like you're getting a sense to kind of see yourself as the love and give that love to yourself. And then you kind of like, well, I don't need to put up with this. Like, but you might not have had that strength to do that before that if you kept resisting that scenario and kept thinking, oh, this is all I deserve. Like,
it's sort of like, what's it getting you to do or not do?
Yes.
And it might be just boundaries, putting boundaries in place. It's like, I don't have any boundaries, so people can cross over that whenever they want. They can say whatever they want to me. They can do whatever they want. And then you just finally get jack of it and go, no, this is not working for me anymore. Like, so there's a part of you that starts to really rise up that power through that sense of, no, this is actually not working for me. Like, I don't like this. And following that feeling.
Because a lot of the time it's because we've trained people to be a certain way too. Like, so we have to kind of look at our own part in the creation of stuff too. Like, well, if you spent your whole life kind of basically energetically telling people that it's okay to walk all over you because you'll just do what they want, then you can't really expect them to be any different. Like, it's kind of, we can get angry about it, but it's like, well, you basically have kept saying this is okay. So they've learnt to do it. So there is like an unlearning process that has to kind of happen if you start to suddenly rise up and go, no, I'm not putting up with this anymore. And you start changing how you're showing up and what's, you know, okay for you. And then the other person has to shift too, but it usually will bring up some kind of conflict or resentment on their part because they don't want to be different. Like they're used to you being a certain way. Like, so.
Yeah, it's threatening when you change and start rising to your power. And plenty of people split up at that point because it's like, oh, I can't handle your power now because you were great when you are in your box. And
yeah,
I was controlling that. But now I can't control that anymore because you really have risen. You found your God or goddess power type thing.
Yeah.
And that's not working.
Sometimes things will fall away because of that, because they can't be rectified because the other person just doesn't want to play the game, basically. So it's kind of like, that's okay too. Like it's just, but sometimes it is a real chance of like a relationship will go through a really dark period where the other person has to kind of see some stuff for themselves, and then they start showing up more authentic as you. It's like you've given them permission to kind of stand up for themselves and honor themselves and be authentic. And so it can take relationships to a whole new level sometimes when that happens. But it might go through a period of like looking a bit crap for a while, like to the ego kind of thing. Yeah. So it's again, there's nothing wrong with what's happening. If everything's perfect, it's like, well, maybe it's meant to go through that period, like so we can all step back and see what's going on and see what's true for each of us. Yeah. So
and I guess it's that ripple effect, isn't it? When you're authentic and you hear people speak about this sort of thing, it's like when you show up authentically with no masks all the time type thing, like you really are giving permission for other people to do that as well, which is such a relief for them. That's what everybody's wanting to do. They just want to be themselves and be loved for who they are. And yet we sort of keep putting all these masks on and stuff. But if you can see that somebody else is being authentic and it's working for them, and I guess we see this on social media a bit now and stuff where people have just been raw and real in a video or something, and then you just get like the thing goes viral. And it's like, why is that? And it's like because the person's just letting it rip.
It's true.
I think there's a move towards that in a lot of ways in social media and stuff. It's allowing people to have a voice now and to be more authentic, hopefully, to be more authentic.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it's quite cool.
Yeah, there is a lot more people that are just showing up now and expressing, who they are, which is, when you look at something like social media platform, it can be, actually, I think we had a comment last night from somebody that's following the page, and he was sort of saying around, it's really nice to see Facebook being used for something different because there's just so much, not we're the only ones doing this, we're definitely not, but it's kind of like there is so much, crap, for want of a better word, just on Facebook. It's just like such a waste of time. Like it's just, okay, sometimes there's just an entertainment value, something's funny, no problems with, doing that. But a lot of the time there's just useless stuff. You can't really do anything with it. Like it's just waste your time, really. Like it's not that inspiring and it doesn't really, contribute anything really to your expression in life or anything. Like if you really step back and look at it, it's just kind of, oh, so-and-so's doing this. It's like, okay, well, I know that. Does that mean, what does that make you mean? A lot of people then will compare their lives to things they see on Facebook now and what they think people are doing. But then you'll get some people that are like what we're sort of wanting to do, and what there is other people doing is like just showing up and using this as a way of connecting as well and just sharing authentically. And then if somebody resonates with it and they get something from it, great. Like, but that's not really the purpose of why we're doing it either. It's just like, this is what we want to, we're having fun doing this and we want to show up. So it's like, I think it was Doug actually, he was sort of commenting saying it's just really nice to see something different. Like it's just kind of fresh. And, it's more about loving what you do and showing up like that and giving other people permission to do that too.
Using the platform.
Yes.
And I guess the only other thing I wanted to point out that I realized was because I was feeling so tired this morning and sort of like sluggish and stuff. I think in the past I would have thought, I don't really want to do the live. And I would have sort of made that connection between the two type thing, but I didn't actually do that. So today I actually questioned and I was like, okay, I'm feeling tired, but do I still feel like doing the live? And I was like, actually, I still do. That's quite interesting. So again, showing up, like asking those deeper questions, like we were doing in the decision-making process the other day, like just asking deeper and deeper questions of things rather than that surface level that I would normally probably do. Of like, I'm too tired, I can't be bothered. I won't worry about the life.
I think even the very first day we did our lives, actually, because you basically wrote me a message overnight and just said, let's just start tomorrow. And I was like, and I remember getting up that morning and seeing your message. I hadn't seen it before then, and
Right.
I remember that morning in particular, like I was really tired. Like I'd had like maybe a really stressful day the day before or something
Yeah.
had gone. I can't remember what it was, but I just remember sort of thinking, I don't really feel like doing it today. Like I just feel like I just want to have a day to relax. I don't know what thoughts were going through my mind, but so I just went, so I was just about to jump in the shower, I think, when I saw your message. And so I got in the shower and I was just like, I kind of use the shower sometimes as a way to really just ground myself and get really present. And
like negative ions.
Yeah, and also just really feeling, the sensations on your body, like a way to get present for you is, for me anyway, is that kind of feeling of the water and the heat and the feeling your feet on the ground and just that type of. So I sort of thought, all right, so it wasn't like a yes or a no. It was kind of I knew it was ego stuff kind of coming up. So it was just like, no, we've been talking about this. So it's not like, like this out of the blue sort of thing, but it was just more than the timing of it. I didn't expect we were going to do it that day. Sort of thing. So, I kind of just sat with that and, well, didn't sit with it. I was in the shower, but yeah, so I was standing in the shower.
You showered with it.
But it was amazing, like just that feeling of like letting, like what you said, it was almost like separating that ego response to what felt true, because it's kind of like, no, I want to show up as, we've been saying we want to do this. Like, so it's like, no, let's do it. And it was just more that ego kind of going, I don't feel ready. I don't feel like, a bit like what you said, like, I don't feel like I've got the energy today to do this. Like, this is the first one, like, I want it to be good, like that kind of.
Got to be all these things.
Yeah. So it's, so it was interesting. I had that experience too. Like, and once I got out of the shower, I was just like, no, I was actually kind of excited about, like, excited in that respect of like, no, this is really what I want to do. It feels true. So, so it is that. I think that is a good thing that you said about that distinction between separating the two feelings, because we often just roll them together and they're not the same thing. So,
yeah, it's true. Like I even had an excitement about, as I do every day now, talking about like getting on and doing these sessions and stuff, like, so that excitement definitely is there. So like that's the true feeling.
Yes.
And then it gets layered with the emotional feeling, perhaps. I had a really busy day yesterday. I feel like it expended a lot of energy yesterday getting a lot of stuff done, which was cool, but it did leave me feeling a bit drained today.
Yeah, I had a similar day.
Yeah, so that sort of that layer gets laid on top, and then we create the story around that. I'm a bit tired. I could do it later. It was like, and so there's all this, layers and layers of stuff that you sort of get it underneath. To that true feeling.
Yes. And I think actually just in what you're saying there is that kind of deepening of that topic I talking about time. Could have been about like a week ago, around that realization I was having around time, where that intuitive friend had shared, the insights around playing that game of feeling like you don't have enough time, or it's going to take this long, so I won't even bother, any story you've got around time. But it is that I can see a lot of that putting things off for me, because that's kind of how it used to show up for me, is a lot of that procrastination. Because it felt big and I didn't know how to start it, or, that's the story I was, kind of telling myself. But I can see now that the difference between the feeling was there, but then the story gets overlaid, and it's just so automatic. And that's why you can be so present to it, because it's just, it's a nanosecond and it jumps in the story. So you do have to step back and kind of really start looking at it. So the more that I'm letting go of that time aspect now, when I notice I'm really gripping time, or I'm kind of just loosening my grip and just watching now, like, and just kind of going, okay, like, that's interesting. I felt that. All right. Just not judging it or anything, stepping back for it. The more now I can see the stories that were overlaid on that. And, so now it just feels like, well, no, this feels true to do. And so the thing doesn't feel so big to do, because it is just that next step, like what we talked about yesterday. Like, it is just that your intuition, and is going to give you the next step. And it's never like a gigantic step that you can't do in a moment. Like it might feel big to do, like maybe really scary, but it doesn't mean you can't just complete it in, the next 24 hours, probably. Like, usually it's just something kind of a simple step to do. So it's just that feeling as well. I think just really tapping a bit more into that, and like you said, letting go of all the stories that we have around the feeling that comes through to act on.
Yeah. It's funny, like when you just said then about the time thing, like letting go of grip on time, like I became aware of my grip on time, like right now type thing. And I just suddenly felt this like physical release in my stomach area. I was like, Sorry about it.
Yeah. I had that yesterday, like, because it was the end of a house hit, like what Nat's experiencing today. And so I had a lot to do yesterday and I was on my own. Normally my husband would be with me, but so I had a lot to do, and it was a big farm. So there was a lot of animals and things to kind of sort out, and, you know, house cleaning and everything else to kind of do. And so I was feeling a bit pressured with the amount of time I'd had to get everything done. So I'd written a list of just to help myself clear my head and like tick some things off. And like, but then I found that things were getting done quicker than I thought, or I came up with like a solution of how to, you know, do it a bit more efficiently. And like, it just sort of, once I got into that, let go of that time thing, and then they weren't there at the time that they said they were going to be around. I still had to take the dog for a walk, and I was like, no, I really feel like taking the dog for a walk. Like, so if they show up when I'm out, then maybe, like, I don't really care. Whereas in the past I would have been like, no, I've got to be here, everything's got to be perfect before they get back. And I actually let a few things go that I had on my list that I wanted to do, but it was more just an ego thing of wanting to feel like I got everything done, which is usually my, you know, has been my mode of operation, of like making sure everything's perfect, like that perfectionistic, you know. Whereas I was like, no, I could leave that. No, I could let that go. They could do that. Like, it doesn't have to be done. Like, the animal's not in danger, or the animal's not in, like, you know, like, they've got food, they've got water, like, that's it, like, you know, that they're safe, you know, so that's the main thing. And so I let some things go, and then took the dog for a really nice walk, and kind of just really sort of enjoyed like that last walk that I was going to have with her. And like, so it was kind of, and then I got back and they still weren't there. So it was kind of like, oh, okay. So like, I'd rushed and got myself already, and then I was just sitting around kind of almost waiting for them. So like, it was that's like, funny.
Oh my God, that would be the first time for you.
I think I've never had that experience before, like, really. So
this is what it's like to wait for somebody else.
That time of, but not like rushing to the last second to get things done. That's what it felt like too. I did go through, it felt like, oh, there's not enough time to get everything done, but I got everything. Yeah, you sort of just get everything done that you think you got to get done anyway. Like, when you don't attach the story all the time, like, oh, I'm running late, I've got to do this, like, I just kept staying in the moment of what I had to do, and just didn't feel the pressure of time so much, sort of thing. Get it all done. So it's just interesting playing with that concept a lot more. It's starting to deepen a bit for me as well. Yeah. So if you're looking for more conversations around the time stuff, I think our live was called Time After Time. The one previous to this, that was probably a week or so ago. Yeah, I think it was about a week ago. Yeah, so it's called Time After Time. So we've got more, where Maddie's talks more about the issues she's had with time, challenges she's had with time. And just that illusion of time, like that time game that we play, like the money game. Like, there is a whole game that we all play to do with time, because we think it's so real and it governs us, kind of thing. Yeah, whereas it's not really true. Like, it's a man-made concept. So it's like, Very cool. All right. Well, speaking of time, it's time for me to go and actually do something. Cool. Well, that was fun. I feel a bit more bright now. Thank you. Cool. Got energy to get on with it. Yes. No, that's cool. Oh, that's fun. Thank you. All right. I'm going to let the dog out. He's going to go nuts in the tick. We'll chat tomorrow, and that will be somewhere, we're not quite sure yet. Yeah, it may not be at this time, but we'll work it out, and we'll be on at some stage tomorrow, from somewhere. And, yes, somewhere between here and Malaysia. Cool. All right. Stay infinite. Yep. Bye. See you tomorrow. Bye.